Welcome to Soul, Light, and Body. It's such a pleasure to be here. How are you guys doing today? Are you still doing your journaling? Are you writing the three things down that you're grateful for every day? How are you really dealing with your internal experiences? Are you taking the time to pause and sit with yourself and treating yourself with love and compassion? Because many times we just get up from our beds and we just move. We don't even stop, we don't even pause, we don't even be grateful for the breath that we breathe. And we really need to stop and focus and give gratitude because it is so important for our lives. What is your morning routine? Do you have a morning routine that you're kickstarting your day with? Meditation, yoga. What is your morning routine? If you don't have a morning routine, you need to find one because it really helps you to boost your day. Many times we're saying we don't have the time. We got to make the time. We have to make that time for our morning routine. It's very important. How are you looking yourself in the mirror, and what are some of the things that you're telling yourself when you look in the mirror? Are there nice things or they're not so nice things? Remember, you're special and you're unique and you're one of a kind. You're here to shine your light. So start telling yourself that you're special and you're unique and you are enough when you look yourself in the mirror. Today we got such a beautiful topic: neutrality and the art of non-attachment. Because we all go through life being attached to things and we don't know how to detach. Sometimes we're in a relationship with someone, a friendship, and we decide to part ways, but we can't really find a way on that ground where we could really detach ourselves. Hajnal is here today, our beautiful guest is here today to help us understand how we could really work around those things and to build ourselves up back if we're attached to something, whatever it is. Are you going within yourself and declutter? It's time that you go within and start to declutter the things that are not serving you any longer. Because it's just holding you back. Those energies are just holding you back. And then those energies, it could turn into something else, which you don't really want in your body. So it's time you find the time to declutter the things that's not serving you any longer. Find the time to do it. Check in with yourself. Pause if you have to. Do the self-care. It is so important. I'm Karen Pascal, holistic health and wellness coach, and a co-author of two ebooks with my sister Joan Williams. And we also have a digital magazine and a hard copy magazine. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul Light and Body YouTube channel, where you'll never miss one of these juicy episodes. Sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a glass of water, a glass of juice. Get your notepad, get your pen, because Hygienal is here to give us some real good juicy keys and tools that we could use to unlock ourselves from mental prison. Hygienal, welcome to the show. Joan, take the floor.
Great opening as always. And
Thank you.
those words are so important because how we look at ourselves and are important. How we live our daily lives are so important because what are we choosing to put first and and center in our lives. What is important to us? What are our I am? What are you telling yourself? Because how we speak to ourselves really matter. What are you saying to yourself when you look yourself in the mirror? Are you able to say to yourself, regardless how you feel, I'm beautiful, I'm special, I'm more than enough, I'm one of a kind? Are you able to repeat those words and verbalize that to yourself and constantly reaffirming yourself and validating yourself? Yes, I am enough. Yes, I'm special. Yes, I'm one of a kind. What are your I ams? How are you choosing, as Karen rightly said, and I'm just going to reiterate that. How are you really choosing to start your day? Are you setting your intentions? What are the intentions are you setting on a daily basis? And when you set your intention, be confident about it. Because when you set your intention and have that confidence, you can walk in that integrity and self assured, and then let grace follow. Because, first of all, also, you have to show yourself some compassion. Love yourself. Because there's some days there's no one around, but you can just give yourself a hug. Love on you because you are special. And stand strong in that. And be bold enough to say that. And remind yourself every day who you are. How are you showing up in your environment? How are you showing up in the world? Are you walking with that power? Are you showing up strong? Have you found your purpose? Are you able to live your purpose and could be sure to say, whatever I'm doing, that's my purpose? Because at the end of the day, I feel fulfilled. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm changing lives. I'm making a difference. And when you can do that and feel that energy, vibrations are all high, your frequency is all up, you're excited. People want to know why you're that happy. But you're happy because you're living your purpose, you feel fulfilled, and you're making that difference in every space you go. Whether you walk into a room, you can change that energy because that's who you are. So it's great if we can just start living from that space. My name is Joan Williams, host of Health and Wellness Coach, author of two ebooks with my sister, and the magazines are amazing. We hope that you are really taking full advantage of those magazines, those articles, the printed copy, digital as well. And we're happy to hear all the reviews that we're receiving and how interesting it is, changing their lives as well in different small ways. Because it's the small things that really matter. And also celebrate your wins, whether big or small,
Mhm.
something you have accomplished. You've worked hard for that. So celebrate it. Be happy about it. Because that's an incentive for you to continue to live life on your terms. Today we have a wonderful guest who is going to take us on a journey and help other seekers with spirituality and so many different facets. So, Hajnal, it is such an honor to have you here with us to join us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, both of you, for that beautiful introduction. I was so moved by that, and I hope that everyone listening was also moved because these words are so true and powerful, um, and we need that reminder sometimes. We can present ourselves like it, but doing the work will always outweigh saying we're doing the work. So I appreciate you both for sharing that. I really do.
And we welcome all our audience tonight to sit with us from wherever time zone you're watching from to enjoy this 1 hour with us. because Hajnal is sharing some beautiful tools with us and help us as we continue to walk this journey and travel this path called life. So tell us all about how you got to this space, what has led you to this path, and what you're doing now and doing in such an amazing job in changing lives. Talk to us.
Oh, wow. Well, I feel like we could go a few hours just on that, but to summarize it, my life has not been what we would call a peaceful or easy life. And the things that I've experienced and the situations that I have been grateful to have witnessed and been a part of have shaped me here to doing this work. So I was called to the shamanic path in 2018 to 2019. And after apprenticeship and remembrance of multiple past lives working with shamanic work, I found myself really, really consumed and obsessed in a way with learning how to really honor the sacred path that is this life in multiple ways. So since then, and even before then, just by the urge to learn and study and research different modalities, I just tried to be as aware as I can be and as present as I can be in any given moment, which is not always possible. But the ultimate goal is to be able to help people, to help all the beings in this planet, to help all the beings in all the multiverse, and to do my part here. And while I'm here, I'm part of those people who are called to do it. And so I just do it with faith and surrender. Not always easy. Again, sometimes kicking and screaming and with reminders and a kick in the butt. But yeah, I guess I never really saw any other choice. And so I'm here. And this topic was really given to me over a period of about 3 months in certain situations, to be reminded of this idea, this concept of non-attachment and neutrality. And then, given the forced circumstances and different personal situations, really coming to the conclusion that this is a more balanced and peaceful way to try and live your life. And so I wanted to share that with you. Some of it is research. Some of it is channeled through my own DNA and my own lineage, as well as through spirit in general. And some of it is just common sense, I would say. So that's kind of how I like to do it. So yeah, if you guys are ready for me to go into it, I'd be more than happy to. I want to say thank you to everyone who's here. Hopefully you'll be able to watch the replay as well. And also want to give a huge thanks to Karen and Joan for inviting me to be here. This is a big win in my book to be grateful for. So thank you so much.
We are honored. And we know that you come with tremendous value, great energy, vibration, and so that you can exchange with the audience. And the topic is so important. It is so essential, especially as this, when you're talking about not being attached. How should one go about doing that, because it's very difficult.
Right. It is. Because part of the human nature is attachment, right? But most of the spiritual nature consists around non-attachment. So it's, again, finding that balance. And I wanted to just briefly mention, because I want to give credit to the areas with which have kind of introduced this culturally, before I kind of go into that. So non-attachment or detachment has been seen in multiple cultures around the world. From the Jain monks, which use non-attachment as one of their 5 Mahavratas. That's a big part of how they serve their faith towards the one. You've also got the Bai faith, which talks about entering presence, being closer to God and source, and is written multiple times and mentioned multiple times in the tablets of Baha'u'llah. I think I said that right, hopefully. Also in Buddhism, in the Pali texts, the word in reference is called nekama, which is giving up the world and leading a holy life, which a lot of us cannot do.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. And then even in early Christian monasticism, it's what you would call apatheia, which is where the word apathy comes from, which has been given a negative connotation. And I, again, feel that a balanced approach is necessary. But it's called, basically referenced as detached watchfulness in order to serve the Lord. So we also have Hinduism. So again, you're getting the picture. And in the Bhagavad Gita, their service to the Lord is supposed to be without attachment. And they reference the lotus, which is untouched by muddy water. You've got Taoism, who references it in the Tao Te Ching in chapter 44. He who knows when to stop doesn't find himself in trouble. He will stay forever safe. In Stoicism, they mention and reference apatheia, which is somewhat based on Eastern Christian monasticism as well. But the idea of equanimity, which is where I'll start to go in there, the neutrality, which they basically reference in Stoicism that a sage knows the balance between excess and deficiency of emotion and living virtuously. And then last but not least, and this is where we'll go into from my perspective, which is part of a lot of shaman tradition, which is the idea that everything is life, that all is connected, and that everything is sacred. And the idea of non-attachment and neutrality is respecting the sacredness of life, which ties into being grateful, like you had mentioned in the beginning, to being grateful because you are living, and paying more attention to that as opposed to the imbalance, which is focusing on negative aspects. Because every time you choose to focus on those things, you are going away from source, unless you're choosing to focus in order to understand the source even more, understand spirit, understand nature, and to understand the interconnectedness of all of life. So to answer your question, so the concept of neutrality, and this is mostly based on my perspective, is the ability to discern
Mm-hmm.
through objective reasoning and emotional acceptance. So that is a complex thing to do. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it is. When you mention the word discernment, that is so powerful.
Yeah. And in our in the culture we practice, the spirit of hawk is huge when it comes to discernment, because in totality, and I'm not going to say reality, I'm going to say totality, because reality is something to be argued about. Discernment is really divine timing. It is it's the flow. It's the grace. So the whole approach of achieving neutrality is through self-awareness. And the reason why that is so necessary to achieve neutrality is because each one of us is one. We are all one. But because of the nature of our human existence, we are also individual expressions of the one. And so we must learn how we are meant to embody that individual expression. And then once we do that, discernment is actually easy. It's just trust in our individual expression. So it's getting to the understanding that's probably the most difficult, and that is where we can, we can spend a lifetime, or it can take a moment, and each person's journey is their own journey, and it's not up for others' interpretation or judgment, because that's just the spirit's way. That's spirit way. That's absolutely love.
Right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, because we are here, and as you said, we are one and expressing in different ways. So we all walking this path. We are going through different experiences. And we can't judge. We cannot judge. There is no judgment.
At least not in the sort of definition that judgment has been given, right? Because the more that we've learned about politics, and the more that we've learned how a judicial system works, the less we've actually come to the understanding that judgment is also discernment. And it is not based on an authority other than the individual's own expression of source. So yeah, we can say that judgment is necessary in order to know how we should move left or right. Because we're not, we can't all be monks. And so we must navigate with other humans. But that balance, again, is from a place of compassion of self and of others. And really coming into the knowing that also changes from moment to moment.
Right.
Mhm. Wow. That bring me to the question of mutual understanding and the benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, let me just double check and see if I missed anything. Yeah. So, and that's part of it, right? We actually only are criticizing. I'm going to use the word criticizing over judging, just so that way I make sure that word isn't confused again. But the criticism of others and ourself is the inability to accept who we are and who others choose to be. So the idea of using objectification as opposed to subjectification
Mhm.
is to actually observe, which we would see in many different, again, spiritual and religious context, is the omnipresence of God. And we can actually use that to navigate in a human body in that way. So we must be human, and we are more.
Right.
And when we are, say you're in an argument with someone, which I love that word, right? Someone. We are all some of the one, right?
Yes.
When you're having an argument with someone, you are, the vast majority of us are trying to justify with our egoic survival our actions and our opinions versus someone else's way of being. And then they, in turn, are taught to do the same thing from a place of reactive instead of non-defensive. So in that particular instance, the only way to neutralize is to disengage.
True.
And then observe not only your own body language, your own emotions, your own thoughts, and your own criticisms, and that person's as well. So it's an accountability on both sides.
Right.
So it gets tricky, of course, because I did, I'd say it's about like 6 or 7 years ago, I went through the whole class workshops of Marshall Rosenberg, who is kind of like the father of nonviolent communication. And I tried to apply that, and it's almost impossible. You can't necessarily apply all of the nonviolent communication practices with every situation, because the other person would have to agree to do that with you, and it's just not possible unless you're all living in a place where you've all agreed to it, which is just not. So in those instances, it is literally just your accountability to disengage and observe your own thoughts, and then just have acceptance over those thoughts without attaching to them.
Right.
I'll give you an example. Today, actually, I got into a small argument with my husband, and all these thoughts came flooding in. All these thoughts to, help my ego justify why I was right, why thoughts like, oh, well, he's just not listening to me, and this, he just cares more about his own stress than mine, and blah 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 blah. And I just started doing the flow method, which is what a lot of us use in meditation, which is where you observe a thought and then it flows out of your mind. And 15 minutes later, it's gone down to 15 minutes, which is a miracle at this point because I have a lot of fire inside of me. But after 15 minutes, those thoughts were completely useless.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that they were all literally just the ego justifying, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest part of that would be not only your own acceptance that you are human and that you must have those thoughts based on survival, and you would have to really practice and dedicate yourself to not doing that for a while, and depending on the person, even longer.
Right.
Or you just know that you don't have to attach to the fact that you did that. And then you're not adding extra criticism, right? You're not adding extra criticism onto the fact that you are a human being having a human experience as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw that Tommy just said they popped up. Yeah, that for anyone who is on this talk, is listening to this, this is exclusively just for you guys. If you send me a private message with the word spirit, you'll receive 22% off of your first service with me. And this is only for you guys in this live. I wanted to give back. So
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for doing that. And also, during this live, she will pick one card from her deck for one individual who is going to be lucky. And she will give them a mini reading. So stick around. You might be the lucky one. So, Hajnal, can you tell us what is shamanic medicine healing?
Sure. So shamanic medicine healing is really just the art of working with shamanic practices, which I learned from my teacher in Austria, the traditional holistic shamanism of Siberia, which uses the elements and uses nature to be able to help holistically with mental, emotional, physical, psychological illness or dis-ease in a person's life. But one of the major aspects of the shaman or the practitioner is actually going into an altered state of consciousness where you're basically in a trance state, and you are going into the shamanic realms in order to see the etheric body of the client and their energetic signature and their field, and then do the work as needed, whether that be soul retrievals, soul extractions, which would be, someone else's soul piece who is stuck onto your etheric body, power retrievals, and a multitude of other things, ancestral healing and past life regression are all included in that. But long story short, I will shake my rattle, use my drum, speak in ancestral language, and help you balance out your soul body. And through doing that, it will balance out your life. So the soul is that point that kind of goes out.
That's very powerful.
It is.
Yes, it is. That
It
sounds
is.
very powerful because you're saying there that we're gonna be when you do all of that is you're dealing with the ancestors too, right? Am I correct?
Yes, yeah. I'm working with my ancestors, and I am making sure that your ancestors do not come back and bite me in the butt. And they're also usually present, as well as other guides that you may have present. And my guides, I usually get to see the client's team and also past loved ones that may be around, either as guides or just to help during the healing process. Because a lot of the times when you go into the soul space, your body has become so adjusted to living from a place of misalignment that when someone's working on you, there's a little bit of resistance and a little bit of protection. And so my job is to go in there and say, is this okay? And sometimes I've even actually worked with clients where I've started to do a session and I was told no. And then, of course you just have to wait, because it's all up to the individual's divine timing as well.
Yeah, right.
That's
But
yeah.
I was
Wow.
just after the completion of that process and the entirety of everything, what a transformation that is.
It truly is, because a lot of us walk around missing parts of ourselves, or even being attached to parts of other people. And when you recalibrate that, and the person is in their full soul alignment, their life will shift dramatically. And most of the time, that's why I also do mentoring and counseling, is because most of the time, then after that moment, they realize, wow, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Right.
Like one of my clients is now an admin in my Facebook group, the Dragonfly Initiative. And she was one of my clients over about a year ago, and she's just blossomed. I mean, she's an artist, and she started practicing with the drum, and she's getting all these opportunities, and now gets to retire, and it's just incredible actually to see these transformations unfold.
Yes.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. When you could really see someone transformation, it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's such a good feeling that that whatever you're doing to help someone, it worked for that individual.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What is twin flame integration?
Wow. Okay.
That word twin flame is being used very often in different communities. So can you really dive a little bit deep into twin flame integration?
Okay, let me take a sip of water here.
That's a big one, right?
Well, really what it is there's multiple layers to this concept. When you're dealing with anything of the spiritual nature and the metaphysical nature, you're dealing with multiple layers of that concept. So twin flame, depending on who is talking about it from which frequency level, could mean finding the love of your life in a physical body, or it could be what I would like to go down to, so that way we're not talking about this for a while, is the integration of the divine masculine and feminine energy within your own unique energetic soul body. right? It's the balance of yin and yang within the soul and the application of that.
Wow.
And so I actually did a video on this, I think it was a week ago, maybe longer, understanding the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And in that, it was basically understanding that twin flame is the mirror soul expressed in two different signatures that wraps around each other. We could say that that's also the concept of what DNA is, and the staff, the caduceus, the serpents.
Mhm.
We could say it's kundalini. We could really say it's a lot of things. So it's kind of, again, it's hard to say, to define that. But I would say that that we can actually find a person in our lives who is able to hold a mirror so that we can come into balance within ourselves. So
Wow.
I wanted to leave that in there because you are not searching for someone in the physical life or in the metaphysical realms to complete you. You are looking for that soul partner or that soul piece or that soul expression that helps you find it within yourself.
Right.
So the person is basically just your twin flame activator. And then you are your own twin flame. So, the balance of both those perspectives into one.
Right.
So, because many times people say that they're looking for their twin flame, they're looking for a physical person to hold on to as their twin flame.
Yeah, that unfortunately, that is something that can cause a lot of confusion in your own individual life, because you will be basing your connection to that person on a codependent energy.
Absolutely.
And you will ultimately be disappointed by the fact that that person cannot express part of you, even though they are, again, an individual expression of the one. They're not your individual expression.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. It's all you. It's all you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah. What are some shamanic healing practices to help someone see the light during darkness?
Oh yeah. Okay. This is my favorite, actually.
Bring it on.
That's when I get excited because man, if I gone through quite a journey with certain other soul expressions here on this earth. So I would just like to say that the only way that I feel through my own experiences with the darkness that you can find the light is to go deeper into the darkness. Because let's just say that I'm going to use an expression, and I love this because I do journeys and meditations quite often and take clients into caves, and even going caving, about 10 years now since I've done that, but going caving, I really got to experience this. And there's a moment when you go down to the darkest part of your soul, or what you think is the darkest part, or even in a physical place, the darkest part, where you feel the need to be afraid and survive.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you allow yourself to settle, you realize that there's nothing to be afraid of except for your own projection.
Mm-hmm.
So the practice that I really like to use is mirror work, as well as going into caves and meditation. Mirror work. And I actually did this for a ceremony a week and a half ago, where I guided them into a tree. And then when they're inside that tree, it was an oak tree. When they're inside that tree, everything's dark and there's a mirror there that's lit, right? And they stand in front of the mirror and they see whatever manifests as their fear of that darkness. And then once they see it, I guide them to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we are not able to look at our own shadow, we're always afraid of it. But when we see our shadow, it turns to light.
If we can just understand that, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, many times we are so afraid to go to that place because of fear, you know, and because a lot of times a lot of things comes up and we are so scared to face it. So many times we keep running all the time. But as we run, what you're running from is running after you.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You're running from yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're running from yourself, indeed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's truly also, if we were even to go back to what the neutrality and non-attachment, a lot of this insecurity and this attachment to things is really the running away from the acceptance of self and of love.
Mm-hmm.
And to turn around and say, I love you, whether it's to another person that may have wronged you or to yourself in the mirror, even though you may or may not think that there are things that aren't good about you, to turn around and say, I love you.
Yes.
I truly love you.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. Do that a couple times and see if it doesn't transform your whole view of the world, of life. We have,
shift in there.
Yeah, I went to it was called the Earth Keepers Summit about 2 years ago. Oh no, sorry, that was a different one. Sorry, the Gathering of the Shamans online. And we had to do this practice with people that we barely knew. And I was a baby. I was just pouring out just tears. It changed my life.
Wow.
To be able to have someone look at you, stare at you, and say, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we will fight other people and ourselves based on that belief that there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. The self-limiting beliefs, you know, many things that we tell ourselves, like the opening statement that I said, when we stand in front of the mirror, there are many things that we tell ourselves, you know, those self-limiting beliefs. And every day we are walking around with those self-limiting beliefs, and we project it on other people too. So it's time that we really sit with ourselves and examine those thoughts, you know, because those thoughts that we are walking around with, those thoughts are not us.
No, and they are, when you carry it around as well too, to put another layer on that, that's where the attachment is, because you're attached to that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why non-attachment is the ability to experience without holding on to it.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
to not engage in the experience is to not be able to live.
Right.
So true.
Right.
And that is actually, without going too far into it, because again, so many experiences with other soul expressions, which triggers me sometimes, just being honest. A lot of spirituality that I've seen in certain communities, and even the potential attacking of certain individuals within those communities is really based on attaching to a certain belief system that doesn't allow you to see that other person.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah. And so really at the end of the day, because we cannot possibly not do that, humility, that's where we must use that.
Right.
We must be able to say, that probably wasn't the right approach, and maybe I can do better. Maybe I should apologize because
Right.
that was something that was not out of love and compassion.
Right.
And that's another thing too, being able to be humble and knowing that if you do, it's not even a mistake. I don't even know if I would want to cling on to the word mistakes. If you have an action, you exhibit a behavior, and then you realize that may have hurt someone, you can say, I'm sorry.
Right.
Can I please try and understand you? Will you allow me to do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you what you said there. Because a lot of times people look at other people and it's false beliefs. It's absolutely false beliefs. People project things and it's not true. It's nothing of the sort,
Yeah.
And we really need to check in with our thoughts and the things that we're thinking about another individual and see if those things are about us, not the other person.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Absolutely.
I just want.
Self-perception.
No. Yeah. Okay. Go first.
Oh no, you go ahead.
No. I was just gonna. I know you mentioned earlier in our discussion. You talk about Kundalini. Can you explain a little bit about that? Is that okay?
Sure.
What is it, and all is it? What is it all about?
So, okay. So, if any one of you out there is listening has ever created something, which is every single one of you in some form or fashion, you are utilizing the Kundalini energy. What it is a primordial energy source and being of that source that is channeled through your cord, your spirit cord, and through the chakras, whichever energy system you like to agree with. And when it is carried from that space, from the source of from that the sacral chakra, from the womb, from that area, it goes and travels up that, and it really, honestly, it relates to the spinal cord and the cerebral spinal fluid. And it releases to each part of the body in order for you to create. So I would say that Kundalini is divine mother energy, but with masculine energy in order to activate it. It is the birth energy, the creation energy, and it is also tying into healing, healing through that. the concept of balancing, again, the divine feminine and the divine masculine in order to create health within the body and also within every surrounding that you are encountering. So it's like a life force or chi.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we all have Kundalini. You know, it's not something that we have to go out and get, and it's not something that we have to do a specific practice for. It's just an activation of our ability to work with it and understand it so we can channel it
Right.
in a healthy way.
Beautifully explained. I really like how you explained it. It's beautifully explained. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Yes.
I actually, just to say this though, there are practices that you can use that will help you activate it, but I would definitely be cautious because
Yes.
I did a practice once and it was like a dragon workshop based on Kundalini. And when I did it, after I activated my dragon serpent energy, I was like, it was almost as if you unleashed all the parts of me where the anger had resided.
Wow.
And then I had to literally rage that out before coming back to normal neutral position. So I would just say if you do any of those exercises that you're cautious about the understanding that you might turn into Kali. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's and that's why again it's really going back to us having our own individual expression and really why we can cling on to certain practices that others have been taught and others teach to help us find the basis. But then we must turn within and find out how we are meant to utilize that in its own specific way.
Right.
Beautifully said, because we really need to understand how the activation is done, and we really need to understand what to expect when that is being activated. So it's good that you really touched on that to help the audience to understand exactly what is the Kundalini and what to expect when it's being activated. And each one of us have that energy within us. We don't have to go look for it. It's there. It's right there.
It's also individual. It's individualized. It's individualistic because each one would have their own experience.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we honestly, every text in multiple different cultures, again, talking about dragons, whether we're talking about slaying the dragons or whether or not we're talking about embracing the dragons, that's all the concept of Kundalini. You face the dragon and you tame the dragon, but you're able to, you know, embrace it and trust that, because if you don't, then you cannot individually create. And
Right.
it's powerful for sure to think about that concept.
Right.
So now we're gonna choose one person in the audience, but for that to happen, that person would have to choose a number. So Hajnal, what numbers are we gonna choose? Between 1 to 20, 1 to 10. You choose the number, right? Put the number in the chats that you're choosing, right? You're gonna put the number in the chat that you're choosing. And to the audience out there, choose a number between 1 to 10. Choose a number between 1 to 10, and Hajnal will pull a card from her deck and she will do a mini reading for you. That's her gift to you.
Let's see who will be the lucky one to receive mine.
So he said put it in the private chat. Okay. All right. here it is.
Okay, good. Wow.
Did we get
I think we
8
got
for
somebody
infinity.
already.
It's 8 for infinity.
Wow.
Wow. Congratulations.
I think we got somebody already. Wow. Christine Cavalier.
Yes, that's awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
Congratulations, Christine.
Congratulations, Christine.
Oh, I'm excited. I've never read for you, I don't think, have I?
What a moment.
Okay. So I'm pulling from the White Light Oracle by Elena Fairchild. I truly love these cards so much and the art that goes behind them. So gonna put my energy into these cards. Okay, we're pulling for Christine. Thank you, Spirit. They said you needed this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so you pulled the Ivory Wish Fulfilling Crow, which explains why you needed this, because you've definitely been working on some sort of manifestation. What I would like to say, it's funny because, of course, you're the only one that I can pull for, but it ends up being for the collective too. The reason why it's the Ivory Wish Fulfilling Crow is because manifestation works when it's purely in alignment with our own divine nature and that of our purpose with spirit. So when we manifest things that are not in alignment with spirit and not in alignment with our our purity, and our love and compassion, that's when we manifest things, but they don't come in the way that we want them to, or even have negative implications. What they're saying to me right now, Christine, is that you are 100% manifesting this particular wish that you've been thinking about. They said sometimes in early hours of the morning, like 3 a.m. 3 a.m. is significant. It just keeps coming up over and over and over. 3 a.m., 3 a.m., 3 a.m. The power of 3, that's why. Okay, so what I'm being told to say is anything that you're manifesting right now is going to come 3 times more than you expect. And they said that it's also really funny and practical. They said, don't ask for it more than 3 times, because anything more than 3 is an excess. And it comes from a place of nervousness. So, but they said that you've already done this. They said you've already asked for something specific. And they said it's going to be coming. Hold on a second. They said when you see the numbers 333, when you see the numbers 333 and they keep coming up, that's when you'll know that manifestation is coming. So very much about 3s which, I mean, the number of this card, I just realized, number 39, which is all threes. Yeah, so I'm actually going to read from the book and see what it says now. Okay. They just want me to read one section of this. So, Busunda is the mysterious Hindu sage who assumes the form of a crow and lives atop the magical wish-fulfilling tree. Thriving whether there be feast or famine in the world, as a highly evolved supernatural being, he has outlived the ending of numerous world ages. No calamity or cataclysm can shake the powerful divine tree or the creatures who live within its shelter. The sacred tree is a place of sanctuary and protection, where no harm can befall any of its inhabitants. The wish-fulfilling tree is a spiritual symbol for the soul, the heart, and the divine bodhisattvas, or enlightened sages who guide and protect humanity. It represents a high level of consciousness, which is abundant and in harmony with the universe and therefore blissful, free, and generous. This oracle reminds you that as you align this with spirit, you are aligning with a powerful field of grace, which has protective and strengthening qualities. It is a spiritual tonic with effect in all dimensions and all realms of existence. The price for such sacred empowerment is the surrender of one's ego. This is a lifelong journey for most of us, rather than a one-time event. We recondition our mind in the ways of spirit again and again. We disentangle our hearts from societal conditioning based in fear, dominance, greed, and victimization, of getting one's personal desires met at any cost. We recognize there is a profound difference between taking and receiving. We trust what is destined for us. So, while I was reading that, I just had something else come up, and that is another blockage from pure manifestation, and that is the connection to the self. If we don't have that pure connection to the self, and we're not really tuning into sometimes non-worldly desires, but sometimes it's really just, what do we want out of love instead of what do we want out of fear? That's when it truly comes in, and I wanted to just throw this last thing in there, and I can't remember where I said this because I don't really remember a lot of things I say. That's why I record them, but which is that miracles they're not just coincidences. Miracles are just manifestation. And when we learn how to tap into that, we can create miracles every day.
Absolutely right.
That's powerful.
Yes, that's absolutely right. I am so happy that you pulled the card for Christine. And Christine, we are so happy for you that you got the card. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Showing you that
and
picture.
There are many people in the audience who are saying that 333. They're seeing been coming up in their life. They're seeing 333 a lot.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. You're so welcome. I just also wanted to add that I'm truly grateful for that number, and I do turn 33 this year. I'm a life path 33, and so I'm truly grateful for that number. And when you see that number, it's because it represents the Holy Trinity in 3 different frequencies all merging together at the same time, and that's a big old yes. A big old yes.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Hajnal for taking the time to sit with us today. And Hajnal, DM the word spirit to her, and you will receive 22% off of your first service with her. DM her the word spirit, and you will receive 22% off your first service with her.
Yeah.
All her handles is listed in the comments below. Connect with her. She's going to take you deep within and help you to really understand your journey, your purpose. Make contact with her.
You're never the same going. You come in one way, but you're never the same leaving, because there is true
Absolutely.
transformation.
Absolutely. Thank
Amazing.
you so much for taking the time to sit with us today and explaining to us neutrality and the art of non-attachment. You're able to give us some tools that we could work along with and understand ourselves even more as we go along this journey called life. Thank you so much for doing that for us today. And to the audience, thank you so much for all your comments. Thank you so much for taking the time and sitting with us today. I hope that you've been making your notes and you're going to start working on yourself, whichever area that you need to work on. Sit with yourself, sit with those thoughts, and start to work on yourself. You owe it to yourself. Make yourself a priority and start working on yourself. All those parts, start to work on it. Joan?
And just continue loving yourself.
Yes.
Just continue loving you, because you're special. You're one of a kind. And you travel in this thing called life, on this journey, on this path. So just love yourself and be assured and know that you are enough. We love you.
Yeah, we love you guys so much. And Hajnal, if there is one thing you want to leave with us, what would be that one thing?
Oh man. The one thing I'd really like to say right now is that no matter what happens, whatever is coming up in your physical world, in your mental, emotional world, that when you're able to observe and let it pass, you'll find so much peace to just trust and have faith, because you are loved and supported in all areas and all walks of your life. I promise you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
That is
beautiful.
That's sad.
Yes.
It's real. It's
So
really.
trust.
Thank you for saying that.
Many
Trust.
times we get in the way. We need to get out of the way and allow that divine source to do its work.
Yeah.
We need to get out the way. And
Yeah.
you're gonna see the magic.
Yeah, and just sometimes literally just take a breath. Just take a breath. Give yourself that moment.
Yes.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Thank you so much, Hajna. And to
Thank
Mr.
you.
Tommy Thompson, thank you so much for doing all the work behind the scenes for us. You make this possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To all the audience, have a wonderful weekend. Remember to love yourself. Remember to go within and make contact with Hajna if you need further.
Yes.
If you need to know further more about yourself, make contact with Hajna, because you're gonna get your 22% off. Message your spirit and you're gonna get your 22% off. Good deal. That's a good deal.
Take that step.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Much love and blessings, everyone.
Thank you.